So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Who you back here, BSN Network? This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, March 9th. Who's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, March 9th. We are now 9 days through March, and each day that goes by, we get closer and closer and closer to April 1st, which is opening day for Major League Baseball, so that's super exciting there. The Yankees play today against the Tigers, so that should be good. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start today, so that should be good. Kluber yesterday for the Yankees threw a simulated game, which you're actually seeing a lot of those simulated games this year, given that, some of these days they don't play. And, with, the whole, all these restrictions and stuff, when they don't have all these 2-squad games, sometimes you have the intra-squad games, and then you have, like during the regular games, you could have intra-squad games going on. Like, for example, the other day there was an intra-squad game going on. The Mariners were playing a team, and the Mariners had an intra-squad game going on at another random, at another field at their complex. So, with the whole season, how it's a little odd, especially with players, only a certain amount of players allowed at the games and stuff. It's a little different, so they're allowed to do inter-squad games and stuff like that. So Kluber yesterday for the Yankees, he pitched a simulated game. Simulated games where it's a batter, a pitcher, your normal, no infield, no outfield, just, your normal hitter. It actually benefits the hitter and the batter, or the hitter and the pitcher. Because they're both getting reps, they're both getting some action in, especially for some of the guys that might be on the lower end, like a guy like an Austin Wells faced Corey Kluber yesterday. A guy who might not get as much spring training time because he's lower in the roster. He's a prospect, so it's good for him to get some live action against some live pitching. So that was yesterday. Today the Yankees obviously play. Like I was mentioned earlier, Davy Garcia gets the ball. I believe Davy Garcia gets the ball for the Yankees. How spring training works, though, things could change so easily. Things could change quickly. So I believe he gets the ball, but that is not I think he does get the ball. And the reason I think so is because I was seeing something earlier that he did. But with the way spring training goes, it could change. We saw it a couple days ago with Garrett Cole. He was supposed to get the ball. He was supposed to start. He ended up not, and he ended up... it ended up being Jameson Taillon and Garrett Cole, because of the rain, he ended up just pitching a simulated game. So with spring training, there's a lot more flexibility, a lot more different things that go on, but that's what makes spring training so unique and fun. To kind of recap last night, not too much sports on. Gonzaga was on. Gonzaga got a big win. Gonzaga now plays tonight against BYU. Gonzaga keeps rolling. And I was telling, it's just, Gonzaga is going to be hard to beat, is really the story of this. And stay tuned. I'm going to have a lot of college basketball coming up on this podcast. SEC tournament starts tomorrow, so I'll be starting my bracket tomorrow in the SEC tournament. I might do brackets for like five conferences. Maybe comment down below what you would like to see from me. Would you like to see me do 5 brackets? But yeah, Gonzaga played last night. Other than that, there wasn't too much sports on. I watched a little bit of the wild Vegas Golden Knights game on NHL Network, but, I was kind of flipping around. The Gonzaga game was obviously on. There was not much on, though. But tonight, much more packed. Rangers are on, and then Gonzaga's on. And it's perfect. I don't know what it is. My luck this year with the Rangers scheduling has been amazing. Rangers are on right after the Rangers game is done. Gonzaga comes on. So the scheduling's perfect. Scheduling lines up. So that should be pretty good. And the Nets are still off. That's one thing that I think I'm missing is basketball. They're still off. And as college basketball here, tomorrow really starts college basketball up again. We still got Gonzaga playing, but that's one game compared to 5-6 games we see every night. So, like I said, we get spoiled. We get spoiled with sports. But, hey, they'll be back tomorrow. SEC tournament starts tomorrow. I believe all the other tournaments start tomorrow. Big Ten, ACC, SEC. Kentucky doesn't play tomorrow. They get a first-round bye, so they play on Thursday, and if they win that, they keep going on. So we'll see how that all plays out. But with all that stuff being said, we got a packed podcast today with a lot of football news to get to today. So these are the topics for today. Dak Prescott gets the money. The Cowboys re-signed star quarterback Dak Prescott to a huge deal. 4-year deal, $160 million. And $160 million, and $126 of that million is guaranteed. Dak Prescott is getting the money, and I was texting people last night. I was talking to all sorts of people. It's funny because this negotiation process took years and years and years, it felt. It feels like they've been negotiating since he got into the league, and they finally strike a deal. Dak Prescott will be a member of the Dallas Cowboys for the next 4 years, $160 million, and $126 of that $160 million is guaranteed. This is a record-setting contract, and it's just another one of these record-setting contracts that we see. Sports, this is what's happening. A lot of these guys are starting to get paid these top dollars. I feel like it's daily now that we're seeing this. A couple years ago when Mike Trout got his deal, this was surprising. We were all like, oh my gosh. And now since then, we see guys like Cole getting the money. We see guys in this case like Prescott. Guys like that. So it really is crazy. Dak Prescott gets 4-year, $160 million deal. I'll tell you why this is a good move. Then we have Marcus May gets franchise tagged by the New York Jets. So a lot of football news. And then we also got news that Trent Brown, a star offensive lineman, got traded, and just now Leonard Williams also got franchise tagged by the New York Giants. So there's so much sports news, and then you add that on to Micah Hyde and Justin Simmons that have already made moves. So there's so much football news. But Marcus May gets franchise tagged by the New York Jets. We kind of felt like this was coming. Definitely, I think we all felt like this was coming, whether you were a Jets fan or just a regular football fan. I think we all saw this was coming. But the Jets franchise tagged the star safety Marcus May, coming off of a great year for him. We franchise tagged him. So I think this is a good move for the Jets. And remember, franchise tag doesn't mean you're automatically secured in that spot. Franchise tag, you could still continue to negotiate, but more than likely 9 times out of 10, players end up just playing under the tag for that season. Or you get the rare tag and trade, which I don't think in this case is going to happen to Marcus May. So the Jets place the franchise tag on Marcus May. So he's going to be under the 1 year. He'll get $10.5 million, and the Jets can still negotiate, depending on how they want to. They can negotiate. They can completely halt negotiations. But what's so powerful about the franchise tag, and that's why NFL teams only get one, is the players don't agree on the franchise tag usually. Not saying they don't like it, but you place it on that player, he can't come back with another offer. You place it on him, that's how it is. You're playing on the franchise tag. He can request a trade all he wants, which Marcus May's not going to, but they have the franchise tag. Do players like the franchise tag? I don't really know if they like it that much. I think they would rather get a long-term deal. But the franchise tag is kind of like saying, you know what? Instead of you becoming an unrestricted free agent, let's keep you here and we can still negotiate while you are still a member of our team. That's sometimes what they do. And in the Jets' case, too, the Jets didn't really have anyone else they needed to use the franchise tag on. They didn't really have any other big free agent that they felt the need to use it on. So that. Then the New York sports update, your usual New York sports update. Nets off, Knicks off, Kentucky off. Basketball is in a pause right now, obviously, until I think tomorrow start the games back up again. I think tomorrow and Thursday. I know the Nets start on Thursday, but I'm not too sure when the other leagues start. When the other teams start. Rangers obviously play today against the Penguins. Going to be a tough game. But, like I said, if we play like we did the first 15 minutes of last game against the Penguins, we can win. But we didn't. So, anyway, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So, Dak Prescott, Cowboys agreed to a reported record-setting 4-year deal, $160 million contract. The Cowboys have finally reached an agreement with star quarterback Dak Prescott, have finally reached an agreement. I don't think many of us thought this would ever happen, including myself. They've gone back and forth for really about the past year, I would say, and even year and a half, because you could even say the negotiations started before, not this most recent season, before last season. So they obviously, it wasn't only during the offseason of this most recent year, it's also the offseason of this year and the offseason of that year prior. So you could honestly say that these negotiations have been going on for about 2 years. I mean, if you really want to exaggerate, you could say these negotiations have been going on since he took over quarterback at Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, coming with Tony Romo retiring, he took over as quarterback, obviously. You know, we all know that happened 4 years ago. But yeah, so Dak Prescott gets the money. And I want to say something about this year's free agency, or just kind of this year's offseason. So far, this year's offseason, we've seen a lot of big things happen, but it's not like they all happen within a couple days. I feel like this offseason for the NFL is a little bit more like the MLB offseason. Big deals happen, but they happen far apart. Sometimes with the NFL offseason, things happen within a span of like 5 days. You have a big trade, oh, then you have another big trade, you have another big trade, oh, signing, big trade, oh, franchise tag. Like, we all have that. And that's kind of happening right now. We've had 3 or 4 big things happen in the past about week here. But I feel like this NFL offseason, before I get into the whole Dak Prescott thing, is kind of like that. It's like it all started off with the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. And then I think exactly 19 days later, we had the Carson Wentz trade. And that's a pretty far apart. That's about 2 weeks later. And then now it's been about probably 2-3 weeks later. Now we have Prescott signing, and we have a Trent Brown releasing. Now we have, Justin Simmons getting franchise tag, Micah Hyde's getting re-signed, Marcus May getting franchise tag, Leonard Williams getting franchise tag. So now I think the NFL offseason is starting to really shape up and take its course. And I think within the next remaining of this week, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more signings, a couple more moves happen, whether that's franchise tags, whether that's in this case re-signing a player like the Dallas Cowboys did to Dak Prescott. But that's kind of just my thoughts. Comment down below your thoughts on the NFL free agency so far or offseason. I've liked it. I think it's been entertaining. Even just going back and forth trying to figure out where a player is going to go. Like Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay. It's fun to just, make predictions about that. Like, oh, what if he goes here? Or what if they do a tag and trade, right? It's fun to brainstorm and think about that. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Or half of your idea is going to happen? No, because you can only go to one team. But in this case, Dak Prescott signs a record-setting 4-year, $160 million contract. And let me say something. Sports have turned into a point here where, and I have no problem with it, I don't have a problem with it, sports have turned into where we see record-setting contracts every offseason in every sport league. And except hockey, because hockey, those guys aren't getting paid nearly as much as we're getting paid, and nearly as much as the MLB, NFL, and NBA players are getting paid. So I guess you could even say hockey, but even hockey, they're getting paid up into the 16, 20 millions a year range, right? They're still getting paid up there. I believe Mitch Marner is still the highest paid hockey player in the NHL right now. I have to go check. I believe it is, because I don't remember any huge signings this offseason. I would have toppled that. But I believe he is. But anyway, back to the NFL. So I feel like these record-setting contracts are becoming a everyday regular thing, it seems like. Or a regular offseason thing. And like I said, I have no problem with it. That's just how sports are. Sports are evolving. Sports are evolving to the markets are getting bigger, teams are getting richer, and players are also getting richer. It's a puzzle piece. It's like connect the dots, right? It's like a puzzle piece. It's, the franchises are getting richer, the owners are getting more money, which makes the markets bigger. As the markets get bigger, the organization gets more money. As the organization gets more money, they give the players more money. And obviously, as the players get more money, you see now, every so often you see players. It's almost like a little bit of a game. It's like what player can get the highest contract. And we've seen that. It all started off really with Mike Trout. Then it was Manny Machado. Then it was Bryce Harper. Now it's, Dak. Now, I'm not going in order. I'm just brainstorming some players. Then it was Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm just brainstorming players from all different sports. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they all got big paydays, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo. All those guys have paid big paydays and big, and big contracts. So that's how it is. And sports are evolving, and we're going to see this in the upcoming years. And like I said, I have no problem with it. I know many people do, and I can see where you're coming from. It's a lot of money. But, I personally think that Dak does deserve this contract, and I'm going to tell you why. And like I said, and I said this when I was talking about Dak Prescott a couple weeks ago when there was rumors floating around about the contract negotiations, whether they were close on a deal, whether they were far apart, whether they're just going to give him a franchise tag, whether they're going to let him walk into free agency, which I think all of us knew that wasn't going to happen. It was either going to be franchise tag or long-term deal. In this case, it was a long-term deal. But what I said about Dak Prescott is I said Dak Prescott gets a bad rap. A lot of people don't like Dak Prescott just because he's on the Dallas Cowboys. And let me mind you, I don't like Jerry Jones. I don't like them. I don't like him. I don't like Jerry Jones. I don't like the Cowboys. All that stuff. I don't really have any hatred for the Cowboys, really. I mean, if it came down to rooting for them in a game, I probably wouldn't even root for either team. I don't like Jerry Jones. Do I like Dak Prescott? Yes, I do like Dak Prescott. I think he's a very good quarterback. I have talked on and on and on and on about Dak Prescott getting the money. I have said Dak Prescott deserves all the money he gets. I really believe Dak Prescott, when he's at the top of his game, he can be one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm not saying the best quarterback in the league, but I'm saying when he's at the top of the game, you could put him in that top 7, top 6 range of quarterbacks in the NFL. And I could even make the argument that he is right now a top 7 quarterback. I could make the argument. Am I going to sit here and make the argument right now? No, that's not what we're talking about. But I can make the argument that he is. And a lot of people disagree with me that he's the top 10 quarterback. A lot of people disagree with me that he's a top 10 quarterback. Not many people agree with me. Not many. Until you see what happens when he gets injured. And this is, I think, the breaking point on a lot of these discussions. What happened to the Dallas Cowboys when Dak Prescott got injured? What happened? They went completely downhill. You want to know why? Because Dak Prescott is the leader of the offense. He's playing one of the most important positions on the football field. And he plays the most important position, one of the most important positions on the football field at some of the highest level in the league. When Dak Prescott went down, what happened to the Dallas Cowboys? I want people to answer that question. Because that should really sum it up. That should really sum it up. The Cowboys, they very well were a playoff team when Dak Prescott was healthy. Dak Prescott had the freak, terrible ankle injury. And what happened? And I don't want people to, say, oh, Andy Dalton. Well, hey, it just goes to show you, we saw Nick Foles lead the Eagles. We've seen that. We saw that, right? So why couldn't Dalton do it? And Andy Dalton, I would probably say, is better than Foles as a backup, but I don't want to get into that because that's just an unnecessary debate. But what happened to the Dallas Cowboys when Dak Prescott went down? That's the big question. And they went completely downhill. They finished the season at 6-10, I believe, or 5-11, something like that. They were one of the worst teams in the NFC East, which being one of the worst teams in the NFC East is terrible because the NFC East is terrible. The first place team, Washington, they still made the playoffs, and they were a good team last year, but they were still the worst playoff team, right? So the NFC East. But Dak Prescott, when he went down, that team completely fall apart. And Dak Prescott, through the first couple games of the season, was putting up numbers that it was unreal. I mean, he was having 500-yard games against, he had a 500-yard game against, I would say, a good defense that for the most part held Patrick Mahomes intact in the playoffs against the Cleveland Browns. He threw for 500 yards. And he also led most of the game against the Giants against a huge victory. And the Cowboys would have won a lot more games if they had Dak Prescott at quarterback. That's how important he is to this team. And I know the ankle injury is big. And I know a lot of people talk about it and stuff. And I will talk about it. The ankle injury is big. But before that ankle injury, he made every single start. He played every snap of every play of his career in the NFL. He played every snap of his career in the NFL. He started every single game so far in his NFL. And a lot of people always talk about health. Can you stay healthy? Or if that's the big question right now with the Yankees and Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge stays healthy, are we going to give him the big contract extension? I think so. But if he doesn't stay healthy, can we really trust giving him a contract extension? And the Cowboys, I understand Dak coming off of a terrible injury. I understand that. I do think he will be the same Dak Prescott. And that's the one thing, too, about Dak. He could run, he could be mobile, but luckily mobility wasn't the main part of his game. It's not like we're talking about Lamar Jackson here getting a huge compound fracture in his ankle. Dak is mainly a pocket passer. He could be mobile, he could run, but it wasn't like mobility was the main part of his game. It's not like we're talking about Lamar Jackson getting this injury. So Dak could still be Dak even with this injury. It's not like we're completely removing a part of his game. Because mobility, he could run, but it wasn't his best. He was more of a pocket passer, strong arm, accuracy is amazing, throws a really good ball. I can't speak highly of Dak. Very good quarterback. So, when he went down, the Cowboys team went down. When he's playing well, Cowboys are playing well. It's almost like he leads this team. If he has a bad game, it seems like the Cowboys have a bad game too. So, removing him from this team would have been absolutely ridiculous. And for a guy that I think will be able to stay healthy, it was just a freak injury. I would put money on it that if that injury doesn't happen, he plays the whole year. Maybe an injury happens down the road in the season. I would go ahead and say he plays the whole year. And a lot of people always talk about health. And that's the question I want to ask too. Is like, if people are going to talk about health, well, Dak can stay healthy. He's a top 10 quarterback at his position. He could stay healthy, plays all the snaps, is smart, good accuracy. Like, I don't know where there's so much good in his game. And like I said, maybe it is because he's on the Cowboys and he does get a bad rap. And that does happen. Players get bad raps when they're on teams that people don't like. And that could happen here. But Dak, he stays healthy. He could run if he needs to, but that's not the main part of his game. He's smart. He throws a really good football. He's accurate. He's got a nice arm. He's got a good arm. Is it the strongest in the NFL? No. He could still throw it deep. And another thing, too, is he's surrounded with talent. And it even seemed like, too, when Dak went down, it even seemed like Elliott went down, too. And I don't want to say that's because Dak went down. That's a whole different story. And I don't want to go down that road because that could start a whole different argument here. But it even seemed like that. It seemed like the whole offense. It seemed like once Dak went down, the whole Cowboys fan base, franchise, it's just like, and it was a gruesome injury. And to happen to a guy like Dak, a guy who works so hard every offseason to get to that point, for a guy who coming out of college out of Mississippi State wasn't that highly touted. The only reason he got a chance at the Cowboys because Tony Romo had another back injury. Tony Romo doesn't injure his back. I don't want to start. This is another thing, too, that could be a totally different segment. There's so many different segments that you could start here. Let's just stay online with Dak here. Right? He came into the league. No one really expected what to see out of him. And he showed the Cowboys. He showed the front office. He showed everyone that he deserves to be the quarterback here long term. And I think right as he stepped on the football field in Dallas, right as he stepped inside of AT&T Stadium, I think he realized that this is the place for him. And he's been dominant since he's gotten there. And he's got a good receiving core. And that's another thing, too. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper especially, their numbers dropped after Dak was injured because they weren't getting nearly as targets. And, that's another thing that connects here. When you're not using your assets, you're not going to win. Andy Dalton wasn't using his assets around him. He wasn't throwing the ball. CeeDee Lamb's catches dropped tremendously. 5 games in, CeeDee Lamb was having great numbers. Dak got injured. His numbers plummeted. Michael Gallup's numbers actually went up because he was a big across-the-middle kind of guy, short, quick passes here and there. He could be a deep ball threat, but they kind of changed him a little bit. And, some of the tight ends catches went up as well because Dalton wasn't airing the ball out as much as Dak did. And that could part of be reason, age, confidence, arm strength, right? There could be multiple different reasons, not just saying. But especially Amari Cooper. And when you can't get your playmakers like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb involved, you're not going to have success. But Dak Prescott does that. And like I said, he might not have the strongest arm in the NFL, but he might have one of the most accurate arms in the NFL. This is a guy that's very good accuracy. Very good accuracy. And it's not like this guy's just throwing little routes across the middle. This guy takes chances deep downfield. Practice, 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 practice. He has earned his spot on his team, and he has earned this $160 million and $126 million guaranteed. So Dak Prescott, Cowboys agreed to reported record-setting 4-year deal, $160 million contract. The Dallas Cowboys have at last secured their long-term future at quarterback by signing Dak Prescott to an extension. The Dallas Cowboys agreed to terms on a new contract with quarterback Dak Prescott on Monday. The Cowboys said per Jane Slater of NFL Network. Further information and details will be released at a formal press announcement on Wednesday. Adam Schefter of ESPN reported it's a 4-year, $160 million deal with a record $126 million in guaranteed money. The deal can reportedly max out at $164 million. Schefter later added that it's technically a 6-year deal that is voidable to 4 years. So then he sent that out. One league source on the Dak Prescott deal, you know what it is, you know what this is. This is Jerry Jones tipping out the extraordinary TD deal that's coming. Yeah, not a big fan of Jerry Jones, and that's what I say. Like, many people don't like Jerry Jones, including myself. He's not good. I don't think Jerry Jones is all that good, and you can bash me on that. I just don't. He has a lot of money, and at times I don't think he spends it correctly. Almost like this Dak situation. It took him 2 years to sign Dak. He signed Elliott, but he didn't sign Dak. What's one of the most important positions on the football field? A quarterback. Who do you want to sign first? The quarterback. Who's right now probably doing better? Probably the quarterback, because Elliott had a down year last year. And I understand you'd have to look. It's tough to compare a running back and a quarterback. But, I mean, you could go by the ranks at their position. According to Schefter, Prescott will receive $66 million signing bonus and will earn $75 million in the first year. Highest signing bonus in NFL history. So Dak Prescott leads the way with $66 million, then Russell Wilson with $65 million, Aaron Rodgers with $57.5 million, Matthew Stafford with $50 million, Matt Ryan with $46.5 million, Joe Flacco with $40 million, and Aaron Donald also with $40 million. That's the highest signing bonus in NFL history. So it's kind of funny. That just goes to show you how the league's evolved. All these players are right now still playing. I mean, I would assume Flacco is probably towards the end of his career, but he's still technically a part of the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires very soon. But, right, all these players are still playing. That just goes to show you how the sport's evolving. James Palmer of NFL Network put the total in perspective. Most money to be earned 2021 season. Dak Prescott, $75 million. Jared Goff, $27 million. Carson Wentz, $25 million. $27.8 million for Jared Goff. $25.4 million for Carson Wentz. Tom Brady, $25 million. And Jimmy Garoppolo, also $25 million. So that's crazy. So $75 million, $27.8 million. So let's see here. Let's do it. So $75 million. So it would be $75 million minus 20. So he's getting $47.2 million more dollars than Jared Goff, who's the second most money earned in the 2021 season. And they're all quarterbacks. That's what's pretty cool. So Schefter noted Cowboys will still place the franchise tag on Prescott on Tuesday as a procedural move. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported Prescott's deal will also include a no trade clause and a no tag provision. After news of the deal broke, Prescott's brother Tad tweeted a photo of him and Dak. He said, when your little brother gets the call, let's go Dak, time to win a Super Bowl. Time to win a Super Bowl and all that stuff. So just normal stuff there. Do I think the Cowboys win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Hope the Jets win a Super Bowl eventually. But yeah, so Prescott will be able to obtain the security even after suffering a season-ending leg injury against the New York Giants in October. He was leading the NFL with 1,690 passing yards through the first 4 games in the 2020 season. Dallas season fell apart after Prescott suffered a compound fracture and a dislocated ankle. He had a surgery on October 11th and continues to progress in his quest to be ready for Week 1 in 2021. Despite the significance of the injury, the Cowboys insisted they wanted to keep Prescott as their quarterback. Speaking to 105.3 The Fan in January, the Athletic's John Mokata, Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones, said in no uncertain terms that Prescott is whom they want running the offense. But at the end of the day, and Andy Dalton knows this is Dak's football team. We obviously very committed to getting Dak signed, Jones said. The 2-time Pro Bowler who was due to become a free agent for the second straight year after playing last season under a 1-year franchise tender worth $31.4 million. Per Sports Illustrated, Mike Fisher, one key difference for Prescott and the Cowboys when they were talking about an extension last offseason was how many years it would be. Fisher noted the Cowboys were offering a 5-year deal worth $35 million per season with virtual guarantees of any excess of $106 million. But Prescott preferred a 4-year contract that give him an ability to test the market after his age 30. It's widely believed that the salary cap will go up after the 2022 season when the NFL will have new television contracts. Regardless of the future implications, the most important thing for the Cowboys right now is they were able to get Prescott under contract to avoid another season of constant contract talk with their franchise quarterback. Prescott had the best season of his career in 2019. The 27-year-old ranked second in the NFL with 4,902 passing yards, fourth with 30 touchdown passes, and fourth with a 71.9 QBR. Those were his 2019 stats. And 2020, he had the most yards through the first 4 games of the season. He was on his way to having another big year as well, and the freak injury happened, which obviously stinks, but it just goes to show you how good he can be. And that's another thing, too. People wondering, if he can bounce back and stuff like that, he's shown, too. That's another thing, too. He came into the league as an underdog. He came into the league, not many people knew who he was, played well his first year, played well his second year. Boom, 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 boom. Keep playing well. Now they finally give him a deal. Should this deal have been done a year ago? I definitely think so. But as you always say, glass half full, don't be mad all these negotiations happen. Be glad it's over and be glad the Dallas Cowboys have re-signed franchise quarterback, in my opinion, one of the better quarterbacks right now in the NFL. One of the better. I didn't say best. I didn't say top 2. I said one of the better quarterbacks right now in the NFL. And Dak Prescott, definitely think he's a top 10 quarterback, and I think you could even make the argument that he's better. Now, is he the best quarterback? I don't know. I still think Mahomes is. Josh Allen's up there. Rodgers, after the season he had last year, is up there. Watson, I think, is still up there. If you look at the numbers, Watson's still having a great career. Even though they went 4-12, Watson still had a great year. All those guys are up there. But Dak definitely should be in the conversation of being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Not the best, not top 3. You could maybe put him in the top 7 conversation right around there. I mean, you look at it. You look at the numbers here in 2019. He was top 4 and he was top 5 in major categories. He was second in the NFL in passing yards, 4th with touchdowns, and 4th with a QBR. So he was top 5 in all those categories. So stats don't lie. Eye test is even better. Accuracy is very good. Good move for the Dallas Cowboys. And comment down below your thoughts on the move. Like I said, he stays healthy. That's another thing. Other than this injury, and like I said, I don't think this injury is going to destroy him because his mobility isn't the main part of his game. But other than this injury, he's played all 16 games every year of his career. And everyone always talks about healthy. Well, in this case with Dak Prescott, it's no different. It's no different here. Good move for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, coming up next, Marcus May gets franchise tagged by the New York Jets. I will tell you why this is a good move for the New York Jets and how this could lead to things to come with Marcus May and the New York Jets uniform coming up next. Alrighty, so obviously the New York Giants tagged Leonard Williams. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow, even though it came out today. It's so much news. That's what's so tough, is you're judging what to talk about. Do I want to talk about MLB right now that's in session? Or do I want to talk about these breaking news with NFL that's going to affect, the season and stuff? So far, though, the signings that have happened have been relatively good, I find. There hasn't been any crazy bad signings so far. A signing that just makes you question. Last year, Budda Baker has lived up to it so far. But last year, when the Cardinals gave Budda Baker the highest paid safety in the league, I disagreed with that move. I just didn't think he showed enough to be that. He's shown very good this year. Do I think he's still worth all that money? I don't know. I got to look at the numbers. That's a different thing, a different day. But for the most part, I think this year, the moves, the trades have been pretty good. It's tough to judge trades. Like I always say, it's really tough to judge trades. It's really tough just because of the fact that you haven't even seen them. Like, you don't know, like, for example, like if a trade's involving draft picks, you don't know how those draft picks are going to turn out. So you can't automatically say one team wins or loses it. But, all that stuff. But it's been an entertaining NFL offseason, and it gets more entertaining here with the Jets rumors. So Marcus May receives franchise tag ahead of 2021 NFL free agency. So the New York Jets will be retaining star safety Marcus May after negotiations. No, I don't want to say that they didn't go far because they were heavy into negotiating. They were definitely negotiating. They just couldn't come to an agreement. So I don't want to sit here and say they didn't go far. Because if they didn't go far, that kind of just simply means they negotiated and they just couldn't do anything. Like, they negotiated and it was kind of done. Almost that old saying that they didn't even get out of the first inning. Marcus May and the Jets were able to get out of the first inning. They were negotiating. They just could never come to an agreement. And that happens. That happens in sports. That happens with players. And all along the New York Jets, Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and I know the Jets wanted to keep Marcus May. I know they wanted to keep Marcus May. And Joe Douglas said it multiple times that he wanted to retain Marcus May. Robert Saleh said it. Robert Saleh, given that he's a defensive-minded coach and is very good in the secondary with a guy like a Marcus May, really likes guys like secondary, which is really, I'm excited to see what cornerbacks we either draft or bring in, because I'm excited. I think we're going to get I think our cornerbacks are definitely going to turn around under him and things like that, right? So, And Robert Saleh, big-time defensive guy, he's going to want to build the defense as best as he can. So, franchise tagging Marcus May is a good decision here. And I would say the same thing about the Giants and Leonard Williams. I'll talk about that probably tomorrow. If there's other breaking news with another huge signing or something, but more than likely, Leonard Williams will definitely be a topic. But in regards here to Marcus May, I like this move. I like the franchise tag. Now, do I want him to sign a long-term deal with us? Yes. Was I hoping for that? Yeah, but at the same time, this is in sports. This happens. You got to make choices. You got to make choices in regular everyday life and in sports. You're gonna have to make choices. You can't. You got to make decisions. And ultimately, the Jets' decision here was, and the Jets too. You got to realize too, the Jets have $79 million in cap space. That cap space, if you want to re-sign a player, that you taken from your cap space. It's not like you have separate money that you give the player. So that cap space is your money that you have to give players. So it's not like the Jets could steal money from someone else and say, okay, here's your money. You have to take that from your cap space. And I feel like the Jets really want to go big in this free agency this year. We had a quieter free agency last year, which is understandable. We didn't have that much money. We were kind of, building up on draft picks. We knew we were going to go through a rebuilding stage last year, right? We kind of knew that. And this year, I think we're going to go really all out. I think we're going to get a receiver. I think we're definitely going to spend some money in this free agent, in the secondary market. And I think it all starts right here, signing Marcus May with the franchise tag. And the reason I really like this is, one, he stays with the Jet. And I would love to see him stay long term. Now, this is where a lot of people sometimes can get the franchise tag mixed up. Franchise tag doesn't mean that he's playing under that automatically no matter what. Franchise tag just eliminates the player from going into free agency, being an unrestricted free agency, and him being out there for all the other teams to just pick and choose and try to sign, right? That's what the franchise tag is. That's what a franchise tag is. So the Jets decided to place it on Marcus May here, like I said. So that's what it is. So the Jets can still negotiate, and that's why I like this. The Jets can still negotiate with Marcus May. And maybe as we get deeper into free agency, and the Jets have made a couple of moves, and they feel confident in what they're building, and they feel confident about their draft picks, and they just feel confident about their situation, then maybe they take that remaining $30, $40 million that they might have and go ahead and say, hey, let's give some of this to Marcus May. Or take that $20 million and let's give it to Marcus May. Something like that. So the franchise tag, he very well could play under this year. He'll earn $10.5 million under this franchise tag. But also, there's a chance that the Jets still sign him long term. That doesn't usually happen, but I guess anything's possible. I guess we could possibly see it happen. Anything's possible in sports. I guess we could see it happen in this case here. So, this is a good move for the Jets. We're bringing back a guy who had a really good year last year, and that's another thing too. And I don't want to say that, he's been okay his entire career. Last year, he really bursted onto the scene, had a great year. And that's where one thing I don't want to really get into that, the whole one-year wonder thing. It very well could be, but here's my whole thing, and that's maybe what the Jets are doing. He had one really good year. The rest of the years have been decent. One really good year. Maybe the Jets are saying, I don't want to give this guy all this money. I want to see if he could do it again this year, and I think he will. And I think this guy's really smart. He's young, but he plays like he's much older. Not trying to say that meanwhile. I mean, like, he knows the game. And I think ever since Jamal Adams out of here, he has an increased role now, and he's really showing what he was. Because when he was in college, he got the big role. When he came to the Jets, he was more of a secondary role. Now that he's a first role, now that he's the main safety, now that he's a team captain, he's finally getting a chance to lead, finally getting a chance to be that head guy on that defense, and that's pivotal for Marcus May. And I think that's where you really get to see how much talent we have. And when we drafted Marcus May, the talent was there. It was just a matter of him getting his opportunity to go out there and show the coaches, show the organization that he deserves to be the main safety. And when we got rid of Jamal Adams, Joe Douglas, that had to be in his thought process. Knowing that Marcus May wanted to be a Jet, he was smart, a good player, knowing that he had all those attributes. Joe Douglas decided to trade Jamal Adams and said, Marcus May, this is your opportunity. And so far, Marcus May has lived up to it. So Jets rumors, Marcus May receives franchise tag ahead of 2021 NFL free agency. Let's get into this here. The New York Jets placed the franchise tag on safety Marcus May on Monday per Adam Schefter of ESPN. The tag is worth roughly $10.5 million, $10.5 million, Schefter added. The move likely keeps May with the team that drafted him in the second round back in 2017. It's not exactly surprising, as general manager Joe Douglas said in his end-of-the-season press conference, that working out a new contract for the 28-year-old was one of the priorities of our offseason. And that's like I said earlier. Joe Douglas wants him back. May wants to be back. Both sides want to be back. It's just a matter of coming together on a deal, and that's sometimes the tough part. That's the business part, is coming together on a deal. And that's, I feel like, and that's what really happened there. And like I said, it's one thing for a general manager or coach to say, yeah, he's a great player, we would love to see him back. But it's another thing to say he's one of our top priorities. Because when you say he's one of our top priorities, you can't possibly go without signing him to a franchise tag, to a long-term deal, whatever. Or if you say he's just one of our top priorities, and that means you're going to do something with that player, whatever it is. So, definitely sticking to his word here and giving him the tag. NFL sources told Ralph Vacciano of SNY that they believe the Jets would use the franchise tag on May. Beginning of free agency, a lot of us thought after the year he had, they might give us a long-term deal. But based on recently, them not coming close, I think they kind of realized, franchise tag was the best option here. The Florida product had a career year in 2020 with 11 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, a pair of interceptions, and a fumble recovery to go with 88 combined tackles, 4 for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits in his third season as a 16-game starter. He posted career highs in every category. That's another thing. Career highs in every category, had a career year, like I said. And another thing I want to say here is a 16-game starter all these years. So this is another guy, too. Another reason here. Same thing with Dak Prescott, same thing here with Marcus May. Health isn't an issue. I know Dak Prescott got that big injury, but let's go to Marcus May here. Health isn't an issue so far in his career. He's been able to stay healthy, goes out there, played every snap, all that good stuff. 16-game starter, very good player. May spoke fondly of his time in New York in January when he said he felt like the core was set with the team despite a miserable 2-14 season. Just being here 4 years, stepping in day one. I've loved this place, he said. I've enjoyed the people here, the teammates. Even though there have been a lot of changes throughout my years here, I've always been the same person. I've always shown up to work, excited to ready to go, try to win a game for the Jets. Getting May back is a strong start for a team that has a long way to go defensively this offseason. Not even defensively. If anything, we have a long way to go offensively. Because there are more decisions to be made on the offense side of the ball than the defense side of the ball. Our defense, we might make one or a couple moves here and there, but our offense is where the biggest question is. One of the biggest questions this offseason in the NFL is with the Jets. Not just the biggest question on the Jets, one of the biggest questions in all the NFL. What's going to happen with Sam Darnold? That's one of the biggest question marks. It's a waiting game now. Offseason definitely will teach some people patience. Definitely will. Because it's a waiting game now. We don't know. We have no clue. Like, what's going to happen, we don't know. It's a waiting game now. What are we going to do here with, what are we going to do here? It's a waiting game. So, I think the Jets make a good decision here, coming off a career. And like I said, for a guy who's been okay his entire career, he's shown flashes, but Jamal Adams was the main safety. Now you give him the opportunity, and giving him the captain, giving him the C on his jersey is, I think, one of the big things that just goes to show you how much the Jets respect Marcus May. Giving a guy who is his first year as the main safety, giving him the captain, giving him the kind of the guy, like the leader on that defense, giving him that C on his jersey. The C on the jersey means a lot. It's more than just a C on a jersey. You're the captain, you're a leader, you're a guy that you're supposed to look up to, you're a guy that's good on and off the field, you're a guy that, and that's the other thing too, he's young into his career, and he's already becoming a leader. It's almost like he's a veteran, how much he knows the game and stuff. So, and that's the other thing Marcus May, he's very smart, he's very football smart, which might sound obvious, but he is. He's very good film, deep dive into the analytics, he's a lot of just football, which all translates to his play on the field. In his first full season as the main safety for the New York Jets, 4 tackles for a loss, and his 88 combined tackles. Every stat was a career high. And right now, the Jets give him the franchise tag, and I think this is a very solid move for the New York Jets. So let's just look at the numbers just to see how much he has improved. And we'll wrap it up with the usual New York sports update here on this Tuesday podcast. Let's get this going here. Marcus May. So last season he had 52 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 11 passes defended. He's only 27 years old and already is taking that big leadership role. Actually, today is actually his birthday. Happy birthday to Marcus May. So he's 27. So today is actually Marcus May's birthday. So, today is his birthday. So happy birthday to Marcus May. He's 27, and he gets the franchise tag. So he's played 4 years with the Jets. In 2018, he played 6 games played. So he's played 16 games in all of his years, 3 of the 4 years, 54 games played total. Like I said, he has more total tackles this year than all the other years. He had solo tackles, was best in 2017, but he had the most assists. He had the most sacks. He had 2 sacks. 2 forced fumbles, which is the most. He had 1 fumble recovery, which is the first of his career. He had 2 interceptions, which was tied for 2017. All that good stuff. He didn't have a touchdown this year, but like I said, I don't even want to get into that because he's a safety. He's not going to score that many touchdowns. But yeah, so Marcus May gets the franchise tag as he is now a member of the New York Jets for this season. Like I said, sides can still work on a long-term deal. Sides can choose to just, play out this year. We'll do it next season. And it all depends. And I think there's a very good opportunity that the Jets go ahead, give him the franchise tag. If he proves that he's still if he proves he has another solid year this year, I think that's a very good opportunity to then next year when you might not have much as cap space, you might want to just dial in and focus on one main player because the Jets have so many needs, and hopefully we could fill a lot of those needs this offseason. That will then create next offseason to maybe more focus on individual guys, giving them the contracts, which maybe, like I said, the Jets, players, coaches, they're always thinking ahead. They might not give him a deal right now, but this could set up future options for the New York Jets. So, good move for the New York Jets. Guy coming out of Florida, 27 years old, still young, and already taking that leadership role. This would be his 5th year in the NFL as the Jets place the franchise tag on Marcus May. Like I said, the NFL offseason, it's been entertaining, but at the same time, it's a little spread apart. And hopefully here, with all these moves happening, really within the past couple days here, hopefully we're on a stretch here where a lot of things are going to happen. Like I said this on my podcast, things are going to start to heat up in March. As the draft nears, March is going to start to heat up. You're going to see that, So, like I said, it's a big patience game with free agency in any sport, especially MLB, but this year NFL, this year in NFL. MLB, it's usually big patience. MLB, a lot of times it's spread apart. That's also just because a lot of times players and organizations, MLB is just not, players and the owners just don't get well together. They don't get along very well. So, which is hopefully next season they could just agree on the collective bargaining agreement and go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's see actually. So all D1. So today the ACC tournament actually starts, or was that yesterday? Okay, so today the ACC tournament starts. So it's Pittsburgh, Miami is the ACC tournament game today. And then you have Duke, Boston College. I guess I could always fill out a bracket of that and just show it. Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know. Comment down below what you want me to do. I'll give you the win, so then you know who I put down on my bracket. I'll give Pittsburgh the win, and I'll give Duke the win. Those are my two winners for the ACC tournament. So for college basketball, yesterday the ranked games, Gonzaga won. Today the ranked games, Gonzaga, BYU, I'll give Gonzaga the win. Gonzaga's going to be tough to beat. They're dominant. So I'll give Gonzaga the win there. As for NHL, yesterday the Ducks won, Canucks won, Oilers won, Sharks won, Coyotes won, and Wild won. Today we got a lot of games on today. We got the Bruins, Islanders, I'll give Bruins the win. Devils, Capitals, I'll give Capitals the win. Maple Leafs, Jets, I'll give Maple Leafs the win. Panthers, Blue Jackets, I'll give Panthers the win. Hurricanes, Predators, give Hurricanes the win. Flyers, Sabres, give Flyers the win. Red Lightning, Red Wings give Lightning the win, and Stars, Blackhawks give Stars the win. Rangers also play today. Rangers coming in this game 10-10-3. Penguins coming in this game 14-9-1. The over/under is 6 for this game. This game comes on today 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBCSN. You can find this game on NBCSN and MSG Networks, so should be good there. As I hate to say it, I hate to give my teams losses, but I do think the Penguins win this game. Something about the Rangers and beating the Penguins this season just doesn't mix well. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Rangers win, but I'll give Penguins the win here. But go Rangers. I hope they win. Something about beating the Penguins, the Rangers just have a tough time doing that. As for yesterday's game in the MLB, Reds won, Indians won, Giants, Diamondbacks tied, Cubs won, Brewers won, Dodgers won, Royals won, Marlins, Cardinals tied, and the Nationals won. Today we got the Twins, Orioles give Twins the win. Braves, Pirates give Braves the win. Rays, Red Sox give Rays the win. Blue Jays, Phillies give Blue Jays the win. Mets, Cardinals give Mets the win. Cubs, A's give Cubs the win. Rangers, Indians give Rangers the win. White Sox, Padres give White Sox the win. Brewers, Giants give Brewers the win. Diamondbacks, Rockies give Diamondbacks the win. Mariners, Royals give Mariners the win. Astros, Nationals give Astros the win. And Dodgers, Reds give Dodgers the win. Yankees also play today. Yankees coming in this game 4-3-1. Tigers coming in this game 5-2-1. This game comes on today, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Yankee starter is Davy Garcia, and the Detroit starter is Tumble. So Garcia takes the mound. I'll give the Yankees the win. Yankees are obviously the favorites to win. I'll give them the win. And then we'll cap it off here with a little fantasy hockey. I made a move today. So yesterday, right now I'm winning 17-6 in fantasy hockey, so good there. But today I've got going Mika Zibanejad, Jack Eichel, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, Jamie Benn, Nicholas Backstrom, Nikola Ehlers, Joe Pavelski, Duncan Keith, and I've got Semyon Varlamov going at goalie. So I made a move today. So John Gibson's been really struggling, had another tough performance last night. So I picked up Kaapo Kakkonen of the Minnesota Wild. Had another great game yesterday against a good Golden Knights team. Had a shutout, had a great game. He's 5th in the position rank, averages 4 points. So I picked him up as a goalie, and he's there. He doesn't play today, but he's my other goalie. So, but yeah, a lot of games on in the NHL. So that's my lineup. So just making moves. like I said, it's just small stuff here and there. Oh, that's a pretty big move. Switching out your goalie is a pretty big move because goalie's a pretty big position. They can get you a lot of points. But he's been playing really well. The one time is he splits time a little bit sometimes, so I just hope that with this hot stretch of his, hopefully they just keep on giving him the opportunity because he split some time with Cam Talbot, who I had earlier on in the year. My goalies have, and that's one thing I noticed with my fantasy hockey team, and it's funny because a lot of times people always talk about their top draft picks, but this year it's not been my top draft picks that have been getting the job done. And I've been meaning to say this a long time. Like, fantasy hockey this year, my first couple draft picks have not really done that well. Sabanajad hasn't had a good year. Jack Eichel hasn't had that great of a year either. Artemi Panarin has had an amazing year, but he's been out for a long time with the whole personal reasons. So, those are my 3 top picks. They all injured. Panarin's had a very good year, but he's been injured right now. He hasn't been playing. The other guys haven't been playing that well. So, it's crazy to think that fantasy hockey, what is getting me right now to 5-3 is the fact that what's getting me to 5-3 is the lower round draft picks I've gotten. Anzebs Kopitar, Jamie Benn, Jeff Petrie, guys like that have gotten me to 5-3. I find that pretty cool because a lot of people always talk about the top draft picks. That wasn't it for me. It was the guys that I got in the later rounds that are really stepping up. Braden Sheen, Joe Pavelski, Joe Pavelski I added. Even the acquisitions, Adam Larson, Joe Pavelski, guys like that who I added. Jacob Sykron, guys like that who I added are now stepping up. Jamie Benn, Jeff Petrie, guys like that who I also drafted as well. So it's pretty crazy. Fantasy hockey's going well. But yeah, with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Comment down below what you think of the Dak Prescott deal and Marcus May. Any other sports topics as well. New York Sports Update, all that good stuff. So, yeah. With all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.